Hi everyone, this is Charles again for Chess.com, and today we'll be talking about a universal system versus the King's Indian attack. I'm not an expert in any of these lines, but the system that I'll recommend is played by modern day grandmasters. And before I go on to share with you some details or information as to how to play versus this opening system that White employs, I want to go ahead and explain to you from where the opening gets its name and the distinction between the King's Indian attack and the ready opening. Now, the first thing we could talk about is where the opening gets its name from. Some of you might be familiar with the King's Indian defense, others are not. Let me show you some moves. D4, knight f6, c4, g6, knight to c3, bishop g7, e4, d6, knight f3, castles, bishop e2, and here we have what we would call the King's Indian defense for black. Black will either play e5 or play knight b to d7, and that's a very classical and distinguished opening system for black. Now, the King's Indian attack is basically the same opening or the same defense, but with the white pieces. So white will typically play knight to f3, and let's just do any moves for black. E6, g3, bishop g2. This is the structure that white aims to achieve, okay? And that's why the opening is called the King's Indian attack. Now, the reason why I want to point out or to make a distinction between the ready and the King's Indian attack is because the system that I recommend, there could be some transpositions to both of these openings. Now, for those of you that are just starting out, please, just try to ignore this introductory part or confusing part of the lecture, and I'll address your concerns in a moment. Okay, so with the black pieces, we could transpose into the ready in the following manner. White will play knight to f3, and the system that I recommend is d5. Okay? Now, the King's Indian attack are solely the positions when white plays for e4. Let me show you what positions those are. Let's say g3, knight f6, bishop g2, c6, d3, bishop f5, castles, e6, knight bd2, h6, knight bd2, h6. And now here there is a crossroads for white. The King's Indian attack is when white plays e4 or 4e4. But if he plays c4, then we're playing a ready opening.